Okay, just the last video in respect to Los Angeles fire. And then also I'm out of here. But the last video, some people said not the last, but the least, whatever. Central Intelligence Agency, therefore FBI, is going to have to release me files about Los Angeles violence. The same thing that went on with Richard Nixon is what Richard Nixon enforced through Ronald Reagan. Through California. This is this man here, Ronald Reagan, Prince from the Bel Air. Y'all know Ronald Reagan, and I mentioned to you already Ronald Reagan, right? But you know, it's really right. It is. It really is. It's not Ronald Reagan or Ronald Reagan. It really is Ronald Reagan. I don't know how you say that in England, in Britain. You know, I don't want to make fun out of British. Cheers, I don't. I really do not. This is not against British. I don't do this stuff against the British. Maybe this is going to return a little sanity to the British, huh? How about that? And well, you know, I kind of feel like like a nation of this kind of stuff, this pet goat. To me, you guys, yeah, I felt like that. I was angry, and I was like this. So this isn't directed against you. You know, it's not directed against you. This is not directed against you. This is just, don't feel bad about it, because this is what I was, this thing here. I am doing this for you, so that you can wake up, so that you don't have to be like that, so that you can take the steps I took. There is a way to humanize yourself. There's a way to become a human being again. It takes a lot of time, but the day comes when you see yourself again in the mirror like a human being. There is a hope for you, British. You can do it, come on. You don't have to be slaves. You don't have to see yourself in your mental slavery like this no more. But Central Intelligence Agency, FBI, Federal Bureau of Investigation, Richard Nixon would transfer me to his dear friend, partner. Well, of course, way before the two announced that they know each other, when they officially met. All that stuff was really, really, really bad, because they always create scenes, just like on the movie. where you see them meeting and stuff like this, like for the first time, and they brainwash you. Now I'm gonna meet such and such and so on and so forth. And so, you know, anything that they do during MK Ultra to, you know, to create a timing barriers. It's called timing barrier. It's always something that is designed to cover up, you know, whatever already took place. And they also insert some threats inside, like if you're gonna say that we met already before, you are not good and so on, so remember this and so on. There was plenty of this kind of stuff. Serbs, Serbia, Serbianac, Serbi, they are the ones, they were driving me to California through the Richard Nixon. Who the hell would have thought that Richard Nixon was such a lover of the Russians and of the Serbs? But he was in bed with the Russians and with the Serbs since I was baby. Next to New York, violence, Queens, Chicago, but New York was the biggest one. Philadelphia, Baltimore. It was also California. California was brutal. And this is where the dear friend Ronald Reagan. So you see, you have element of certain people, not necessarily, I'm going to say entire society, but a criminal ring. You hear the criminal ring about certain gangsters, pedophile criminal ring, smugglers, all kinds of stuff like this. But you don't get to hear about the criminal ring I'm talking about, right? You don't get to hear about a politician and his base, which are basically, these are always the same. It's the same. It's not always the same thing, but more you go toward the surface, it's always the people that are even deciding in between which option they're going to be, you know, which candidate basically needs them where at, for whatever. Because when it comes to the US politics, this is just the people that anyhow they want to work in next to the politicians, and they are assigned, you know, certain roles, and that's basically, that's what they lie basically, not live but lie basically that. And so Richard Nixon would transfer me straight to the Ronald Reagan. Oh, since I was really a baby child, and it was Serbs that would deliver me to Los Angeles. Strictly Serbs. They had, I'm not going to say that Slovenian police was not present. It was. In fact, there is some interesting information that I'm not going to share. But that's why I use this. That's why I stated Serbs, because you're going to give me the recording. I know the man, how one looked like. You will likely even know who he was. Delivered me to ultra violence in Los Angeles, and it was not be violence would not only be in Los Angeles but also in a surrounding area of the Los Angeles. But what's interesting here, this always goes through the certain punkts, through the certain locations. At Ronald Reagan, it was always beautiful. This was always nice. The hilly stuff that you have seen, this was always nice. And then we went down dirty. So it was Ronald Reagan who would run this MK Ultra through California, through Los Angeles and its surrounding area. And yeah, they would also take me out of the Los Angeles. It is something that Slovenian police is absolutely familiarized with, because they took off from wherever Yugoslavia had fallen apart. They would continue. Now, however, this violence which they started at the same time as they started one in New York. So this is a California. See, and this is right there, Long Beach, Los Angeles, I should say. I remember when they had me inside of the car and they would take me out of the Los Angeles, and it would be a kawałek, like they say in Polish. It would be a little ride out. I think it was a riverside actually that I ended up. Some farm hills, and that was a farm that there was a mega torture. This is what this Serb would not even have to cover himself up anymore. They were suspicious about Los Angeles, but that farm, whatever that was really brutal. Yeah, they would have other people involved in it, including the translators, and torture. I think it exceeded Guantanamo, really, this stuff. I think this was just brutalization, basically. Well, finally, at age 12, 13, 14, 12, must have been when I was 12, 6th grade. In my 6th grade, however, I was in the 6th grade. That was in probably 1984. Wow. 1984, if not even in 1982. I should say 1983. 1984 or 1983, when I was 12 years old in 6th grade, I cursed out the Los Angeles, and I cursed out Hispanics. The FBI individual was asking me, who, and he wanted the answers. Hispanics, he wanted the answers. Blacks, Hispanics. It was so impressive to this individual. This was a white American guy and might have been predecessor of Mr. Luna. I'm going to look into who he was, but it was so impressive to him. He was so taken over by observing this violence that went on and on and on and on and on, that Ronald Reagan immediately had Prince Andrew dispatched from London to Los Angeles to observe this personally. Anytime it was something notable, basically whatever they wanted for me to see us, they would get the people. And such was the case with Prince Andrew from London, who was extremely pleased with it. They repeated, therefore, the whole thing again. So, you know, if the bear comes to your village and starts stealing from the trash, you must have heard that they put him to sleep, more likely than not, because he has a tendency to return back and attack people. Or in other words, not necessary, maybe they scare him or whatever they do. But if the bear attacks a person, a human, he will attack again. It's the same thing with the alligator. They put them to sleep. They kill them, basically. They shoot them. You know, this is how it is with animals. But what's interesting with the humans, it's not that somebody tutored me that, but I noticed this myself, that when you do something once, you have a tendency to come back, even more so if the government wants you, you know, grabs you by the neck and they force you, rape you into something, right, to repeat that stuff. And this is how the offenders are created. They modify their mind, brain, and so on. And so I repeated that stuff, but not because I felt that way. This is a different thing about me and humans. I repeated it so that I could satisfy, because the first time when I did that, and I understood immediately the answer they are searching for, they are looking for. You see, immediately, as I stated, that it's Hispanics that are doing, and blacks that are doing this kind of stuff, and further that they should be burn them, and so on. The violence stopped immediately. So they went on and they reorchestrated the whole thing again. I already knew the answer that I have to provide them with. Prince Andrew was totally more than satisfied with Ronald Reagan. They got exactly whatever they wanted. So the stuff I am talking about right now was 1983, 1984. It was in my 6th grade. I was 12 years old. I was 12 years old. I was not 11. I was 12 years old. It must have been 6th grade. This was the first time that they got out of me what exactly they wanted. In other words, Richard Nixon and Ronald Reagan are out there to create a helter-skelter. That's a good question. If they were out there to create helter-skelter. It's a questionable thing. Because Donald Trump insisted during his presidency he will be taunting the Russian side with the Los Angeles fire. So it definitely is a questionable thing whether Donald Trump attempted to negotiate with the Russians through the Los Angeles fire. He wanted to negotiate circumstances with Ukraine literally through the Los Angeles fire. Not that he would taunt them, but there was more to this stuff. There is the stuff that Donald Trump, his personal record of his own father, clearly suggests that he does have certain problems he suffers from. And through this types of incidents, which Richard Nixon and Ronald Reagan, you don't get the support from the Serbs and from the Russians unless you sign a paper with them. You're going to demonstrate that Central Intelligence Agency. You're going to demonstrate Federal Bureau paperwork with the Russians, because I want to know, it's not the public, I want to know, and also public, you need to demonstrate the papers, the contract that you sign with the Russian side, with the Moscow. You no way, you fuck you way, I'll fuck you up. You fucking way, you're looking at the biggest dictator that was in this world. I fuck you up like nobody ever did. You're going to present the paperwork in written, signed by the Russian and American side in respect to this case. In fact, about the intercontinental racist racial cooperation with Russia, between the Russia and United States of America. Fuck yes, you will. Fucking bulldoze your fucking home over there in California on that fucking Sleepy Hill. All of you motherfuckers. You're gonna present the fucking paper for the world to see how you do this stuff. The main paperwork I am, but you're gonna present, because I wanna see how that actually looked like in real time. Behind me, behind this cretins, uncles that were on the side enjoying their view, the side of torture. So there you have it. Just 3 years later, therefore in 1986, however, I heard it was a big discussion also in Belgrade, where they delivered me to Slobodan Milosevic. 1985, it started in 1985, big discussion in Belgrade. Slobodan Milosevic. 1984, 1985, they already started to discuss this issue in Belgrade, in their assembly, in their parliament, and the one who took the lead, the one who took initiative in it, was Slobodan Milosevic. This was a Serbian side that became motivated in this racialism with agenda of their own. So they made a trade agreement that basically has given assistance to the Serbs for a Los Angeles fire and God knows what other issues. With the Russia, they did whatever Russia needed, and this was one of the American, proposals to Russia and to the Serbia to, for the Russia to approve this stuff. Obviously, Serbia would not make such a big difference, but they were very influential in Russian circles through this case. How the hell not? Serbia all of a sudden became really, really fucking big through me. Yeah, they were using me, and I was West basically. So when they walked with me to the Moscow Serbs, they were seen in a completely different light. They were bringing cars, they were bringing technology, they were bringing weapons to the Russians. They sure were more than willing to listen. They delivered to the Russians a new maps. More imperialism basically offers. How the hell would that not be interesting to the Russian side? And there you have it. 1985, 1984, Serbs was still not. In 1985, I remember the Serb who was with me inside of the car saying, and I am still not sure if I would give you green light for that fire in Los Angeles. So I had nothing to do with that. That's the stuff the difference between I said burn them, whatever, and the sheriff that was assisting me with the choice of words. We can clearly say the one who chose this fire was your sheriff, the sheriff of the Los Angeles that you had in 1983 was the one who put the words basically in my mouth. There was no difference. Whoever your sheriff was in 1983 in Los Angeles, 3 years later in 1986 this became official. It was the Russians and Serbs that actually gave the green light prior to the war in the Balkans, which started in 1990 for a Los Angeles fire. This is when the Serbs started the ethnic cleansing on the Balkans, and they got a pretty decent size. They cleansed a lot. They cleansed a lot, and the Russians did a good job afterwards, also in Chechnya and so on and so forth. They got word their paperwork. So now I need to see this prohibited, that you owed it so much, never accessible, we'll never see. It's impossible. Yes, it's impossible because it will close the door for the backdoor negotiations which governments, intergovernments do with one another. I know, but I don't give a fuck. That's nice of you that you told me that's not possible, but I don't give a fuck. I want to see it written on a paper, to have audios and videos ready of a video recording me, audio recording me, all that stuff when I was delivered, so that people get really the feel how the hell that was. I will never forget this joy rides to Los Angeles. It was hell. And Ronald Reagan was a so peaceful place, such a beautiful that hill. But down in LA, it was a zoo with the nice neighbors, everything. Some of them already started to get smart because the news was becoming too big. Some of these neighbors already were taking the politically correct side. Ronald Reagan, however, became a victim of my victim. But you are all my victims. You are all my victims. But this happened way, way, way later, when Jack Nicholson stopped by and he was, acting as my victim here in our house, beginning 1986. Suffered a mental breakdown and issues and so on. So now you know the whole thing about the Los Angeles fire, how it all started, whom they wanted to blame on. Who wanted the Los Angeles fire? Say thank you, Mr. Reagan. Say thank you, Mr. Nixon. I could say God bless you all, but you already know the truth. Stay healthy, stay happy. Si poklicala, hvala ti, mami. Yeah, mom calls for the father every day, and I demand so. I want to know about how the father is doing. Visit one as fast as possible and get one the fuck out of that place too as fast as possible. They talked about something. They're gonna give him a room separate from others in a building, etc., etc., all kinds of stuff. They lied to him. They have a room ready for him at Otočec Castle and all kinds of stuff like that. Well, you don't have to worry about that. I'm gonna take care of a lot of issues. As soon as this case comes out, there is no doubt that this case is gonna come out. This case already came out. I'm here. So, thanks for watching this video. Till next time.